Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we are talking Best Supporting Podcast. So this is my part 2 of My Motherboard Myself, the Sex and the City episode, season 4, episode 8. And I have Nick and Colin with me. If you didn't hear part 1, definitely go back and listen to that. We're having the best time talking our way through the episode and just talking behind the scenes stuff and whatever else pops into our heads. So this is part 2. And there's going to be a part 3. We ended up talking so long about this episode and the show and the series and everything else involved. We had the best time, so I broke it up, and this is the second part of that. So if you remember in part 1, we left off with Carrie. She's taken her laptop. She's really being a jerk to Aiden, right? That pretty much sums up their relationship. But she's taken the laptop. She's wrapped in the pashmina, and she took it to the repair shop. She's telling Aiden he mortifying her, and we left off with her making the phone call to Miranda, and we find out Miranda's mom is in the hospital. So we're going to pick up there, and let's get into this episode. But again, they're from Best Supporting Podcast. I highly encourage you to give it a listen. It's available anywhere podcasts are available. If you go back a couple episodes, I actually am on one of the episodes if you want to hear us talk about housewives. We had so much fun. Same thing, we'd only planned to record for a little bit, but we had the best time. We ended up going for like, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, something crazy. But we had the best time. So check that out. Check out their podcast. They are excellent. But let's get into this episode.
Or the only time we've ever really seen a sibling in an episode. Like, we do see so little of their families.
We do. There was an episode. See, I'm watching these out of order now, so I think it's already happened, but it may not have. There's an episode where Samantha hooks up with Charlotte's brother, Wesley.
Whoa.
Yeah, Wesley.
That sounds familiar.
And so
yeah.
she slept over at Charlotte's house. Charlotte said some mean things to her. Yeah. So that was the only other sibling that I can recall seeing. Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Until, and just like that, when we meet Big's brother. Do you remember that? Yeah.
That red herring. Yeah. Who ended up being nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. And then Carrie says to him, he died. Like, oh shit! Like he didn't.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Like he didn't know his brother died. Hello.
Yeah, you're like John's not dead.
Exactly.
It's like, where are we going now in the 9th episode?
Exactly.
You know.
Oh, you guys are so speaking my language. Let's see here. So yeah, the cell phone, and then we go over to Charlotte. It's Charlotte's storyline. There's just nothing to it. She's ovulating. She's decorating.
Nothing else
going on there. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
I was always attracted to Trey. They made him into a dweeb, but Kyle MacLachlan, the actor, I find very attractive. So I was hoping to get a glimpse of him this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't get to see
remember
it.
that scene when they were at the family's like house and he was playing tennis with no shirt on?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cute. All right. Let's see. Samantha and Nick's boyfriend's back. Was it? You said it was you that? No,
Colin.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my
I'm
boyfriend.
sorry.
Yeah.
I got Colin.
Yeah.
That's right. I got your boyfriends mixed up. Colin's boyfriend's back. So let's see. They have their sexy time. One half Nelson, one full orgasm later.
Yes.
I can get together with that.
I gotta give Samantha / Kim Cattrall the credit here. She did a great physical comedy, I feel like, in this episode. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
She was like wearing it seemed like she was wearing a male wrestling suit. I guess there really aren't female. Is there female wrestling? Does that exist? We don't know. Anyway, but it was funny because it was like a deep V, and it just was like, it was like comical to watch them because she was really getting into it. But were they having?
Oh yeah.
It seemed like they were just like grinding on each other. Like, was there penetration in that first round? Or was it just them?
Was he just walking around with a condom on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I didn't see any taking off of the wrestling, but you know,
I don't. I was wondering if he kind of It looked like maybe he was implying that he scooted things to the side. So I don't know.
Yeah, they showed that as if that's all you got to do. Right. I was like, there's so many things to scoot. There's so many more scoots to do, you know?
Yeah, so many scoots have to happen before, yeah. Oh my God, that's my new metric for everything. So how many scoots happen?
Yeah. How many scoots is it? Yeah.
So good. So Miranda calls, and this is where Jen cries because it's so depressing. No, I'm glad you picked this episode. I love to give you a hard time, but I actually am. because I give Cynthia Nixon shit in it just like that because her acting was god awful. But here, well, do you disagree?
I mean, I think the writing is clunky, but like I always buy her scenes. Like I think her and actually Kristen Davis are like the two best criers on the show. Like for as much as people can shit on Charlotte, I always believe her when she like cries. And I think there's something to say about that because it is hard to do. But yeah, I mean the monologue with her like telling Steve like what's going on, that was great. And I feel like the fight with her and Carrie at the end, you know, I always love when her and Carrie are together. So, but I get it. The writing was so weird on it and just like that. But
the writing was weird. I think my beef was how the lines were delivered. It was just a lot of, that was something that we talked about a lot on the episodes, is there's a lot of yelling unnecessarily and weird deliveries, like rushed deliveries of lines. And maybe that was a choice. I don't know.
Sure.
But all that to say, I got to give Cynthia props here because I feel like she did a great job in these scenes. I do. I mean, I agree. Crying, believable, sad, you know, she does. Yeah, I felt it. I felt for her, obviously. Like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah. We've talked about on Best Supporting Podcast and just something that I think we both have loved individually for years, but phone acting.
Okay.
I love good phone acting, you know? And like, this was just like Cynthia Nixon was giving such great phone acting. And like, I could have watched it go on all day. She was like finding all these little ways, like the way that she said, my mom died. Like she found all these kind of inflections. Yeah, it was really interesting. Awesome. So I agree. Yeah. I think this was some of her best moments in the series for me.
So I never stopped to think about phone acting. Do you have another one, just not to put you on the spot, right off the top of your head that you...
Oh, goodness.
Like, oh, my gosh.
What have you guys talked about? Do you remember any specifics? Tell me.
So this is one of my favorite phone acting scenes is... totally different, and you know, Nick and I we have some different opinions about this movie, but there is this long scene in Rosemary's Baby.
Oh,
I liked that scene though.
Where scene we agree on. But
I know.
Ruth Gordon we have different opinions on, but that's a whole other topic. But it's totally different from Sex in the City, though it is set in the city, so this is not a total tangent. But Rosemary, it's like a whole 4-minute sequence of her in a phone booth, and it's phenomenal phone acting. You could probably watch a clip on YouTube of it.
Oh, I'll look that up for sure.
I would even throw in maybe a different kind of phone acting, but like Drew Barrymore in the opening scene of Scream. Like, I just feel like what could have been such like, you know, first girl killed sort of, okay, it's fine. Like that, it's so iconic in so many ways. And it's just her. So, I mean, a different kind of emotion, maybe
That's
not
true.
Crying, but yeah.
That is a great example.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, I know exactly what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay, so her mom passed away. Let's see. So they were sent home. That's the most heartbreaking story. The doctors told them to go home, and by the time they came back, she was gone. Oh my goodness. Carrie offers to go bring her something from her apartment. She says, no, I'll just buy a shitty black dress I'll never wear again. So again, I gotta get irritated with Carrie here. She tells Aiden his first response is to be supportive and say, I'll go to the funeral with you. She doesn't want to hear it. She goes in the bathroom, closes the door, runs the water. What are your thoughts on this? Is she being the asshole?
I think that she ran to the bathroom so that she could figure out how to make this all about herself.
Yeah, what is
it?
I've
got to figure out how is this actually all about me? How is this somehow my issue? I got to think about this. Turns on the faucet, you know, sits on the edge of the tub.
Why does she turn the faucet on? What is that?
Yeah. I was wondering the same. I mean, is he not allowed to hear her be upset? I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Or she didn't want to hear his voice. I don't know.
Yeah, she's drowning him out any way possible, literally.
Yeah.
But it is funny. It's funny what you're saying because that's literally the note, and we'll get to it in I think it's the next scene when she meets up with the girls. It was like the Carrie Show. How can I make this about me? Did you catch that too?
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah. Isn't it weird that Miranda only called Carrie and didn't call Samantha or Charlotte, which kind of reinforces like you're all just friends with Carrie. Yeah. You're not each other's friends.
Absolutely.
You know?
Which interesting side note ties back to what we always say. If you've heard any of my recaps where I play audio from Michael Patrick King, I call him Michael Patrick Dickhead. He always says he is Carrie. He relates so strongly to Carrie. So, of course, Carrie's always going to be the hero that all the friends cling on to because it's a whole ego thing. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that checks out. She's also a dickhead.
That's right. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
It's just the way that she sits down and tells everyone. It really does feel like it's her. Something happened to her.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And almost like the cat that swallowed the canary, like, I'm excited to tell you some terrible news.
Yes, she is so excited.
Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, that's my Ramona.
This is like
I love
I was gonna say when they were in Morocco and
Duran
could tell her.
Dorinda's like Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Colin. Sorry.
Colin.
But yeah, this is like when Luann could tell that the fortune teller in Morocco was telling Ramona that there was another woman. She's like,
yes.
I have this information.
Colin, the
suddenly
perfect
it's about
example.
me. Can you believe it, girls?
Can you believe it, girls? Another woman.
You
Not
know?
Avery.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's perfect.
So good. Perfect callback. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we're there, but I guess going back to Aiden, did you see why she would have been upset with Aiden, or do you think it's just Carrie being a dickhead? Yeah.
Yeah, I did not understand at this point what he had done wrong.
Or it would have been enough.
It just feels like she's.
Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. It just feels like she's looking for reasons to be mad at him right now.
Yeah, I think so. But sometimes, like, big life-altering news like that can kind of snap people in the opposite direction. Like, you know what I mean? Because, like, I think any human would need comforting to some degree, especially Carrie.
Sure.
So for her to not to just, like, immediately kind of, like, either break down or say, like, I'm so sorry the way I've been treating you. Like, yes, please come to the funeral. That's, like, but it makes, there's more... Right. I don't know. It's more exciting to watch the opposite, I guess, in something like this.
True. Yeah, it wouldn't be Carrie if she was thoughtful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, you're exactly right. So we went to lunch with the girls. She tells them, makes it all about herself. She's crying. Oh, there is a funny part to the scene I wanted to see if you guys caught. Okay, so when Carrie is sitting there crying, Charlotte hands her a tissue, and the tissue is white. But then when they cut back to Carrie, Charlotte's got the tissue in her hand, and Carrie's dabbing with a blue tissue. So it's one of the big mess-ups. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So every time I watch it, I see that. Yeah.
All those Mac details they got correct, but then the continuity of the tissue,
And it's not like one scene it's crumbled, one scene it's not. It's not even that. It's like literally
entirely
blue or white.
color.
They switch.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's that.
Nice.
Okay. Let's see here. So, and then Sam is being weird about it. She's saying she's hungry, she's down, that kind of thing. Which kind of is funny to think about because anytime you see Sam at the cafe eating, she's having like a bite of a grape, you know what I mean, or a salad.
Right. It's like, oh, you're not eating today?
Yeah.
Right.
She orders hot water with lemon quite a bit, and I'm just like
yeah, man. You're only having 2 lemon wedges? Yeah. Jeez, you must really be upset today.
Right.
I do love that Charlotte starts to plan from at this point to the end of the episode. I actually really love Charlotte. I don't know why.
Okay.
I really actually loved her a lot and Just Like That. And I know that's crazy, but I do love when she goes into like type A mode, or even like when she turns to Samantha later and says like, that's not one of the things I told you to say. Like, it's just so, because she means it, and it's funny. Charlotte does make me laugh, and I like when she goes into this like planning mode, because it's one of them has to, you know what I mean? She's the only one with like a normal response.
For sure.
Go Charlotte. That's all. I'm a Charlotte apologist.
You are. I think she's. This is. Yeah. I think I'm with a lot of other people who are like, oh, Charlotte, I'll yell at in a text serve.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so again, Charlotte's doing her type A, shopping for a basket, planning the trip to the funeral. Charlotte calls Samantha and tells her to call Miranda. This one's hard. She should probably call Miranda, but I get what Sam's saying. She doesn't want to bother her and feels like maybe, I might be projecting, feels like maybe Carrie is the go-between. So maybe Carrie can get the word that they're coming. I don't know. I was just overthinking it. I just didn't see what Sam was doing so bad.
I think this is like an interesting like subplot of this episode. I mean, it's sort of like, it seems like it's all about like Samantha loses her orgasm, but I think that there's a very interesting like story about Samantha's relationship with grief and how she handles death. And it was done, I was surprised, it was kind of subtle. What they were showing was like, oh, this is grief is weird and everybody reacts in different ways. And that's probably part of the narrative here, is everyone's reacting in different ways. And like, I thought it was interesting that like, without beating us over the head with it, other than like the montage of Samantha masturbating, I felt like they were really kind of telling an interesting story of like, oh, she's got some fucked up relationships with certain feelings, you know?
That's true. Which we saw in the it was the first movie when Carrie says she's getting married.
Oh yeah.
Samantha got weird about it. So yeah, that's definitely a theme that they play with. That's a good observation. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sam picks up the phone, calls Colin's boyfriend. We think she's calling Samantha. We think she's calling Miranda, but she calls Colin's boyfriend, and they end up hooking up.
Yeah.
Well, they try.
Well,
anyway.
yeah. They physically hook up. She just can't get there. She said that's more physical comedy, which she's great at.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say this episode, how it's for Cynthia Nixon, it's so much dramatic acting this episode, and for Kim Cattrall, it's so much physical comedy this episode, like in such extremes.
You're right, you know? Absolutely. That's fun. It's fun to see. I wish they gave Samantha more deep storylines, and that was her complaint with this part too. I believe Kim Cattrall is she didn't get the meaty ones per se, but I just think she did such a good job with the ones whatever she was given. I'm just a fan of hers. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, he puts his hands on her while they're getting at it, and she's like, she slaps his hands away and says he's distracting her. So she's struggling in the way that we've seen Samantha, you know, how she handles things. She's struggling with it.
Yeah.
So the girls meet up at the flower place. Sam's upset, saying she lost her orgasm, but that she can always get there. She says one of my favorite lines, when I RSVP to a party, I always come. So.
Yeah. There was some like that, and like when that line, and when she says, I lost my orgasm, and Carrie says, in the cab.
Yes.
Like, there was some good writing in this scene.
There was.
I will say that I love that Carrie always makes it a habit to make sure that she wears her Nicorette patches in places that we can all see
Yes,
them.
I had a question. I was like, why does she have a patch? And it wasn't until like the third patch that I was like, oh yeah, she gave up smoking while she was with Aiden.
She's trying to be good. Yeah, for Aiden. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that is so Carrie. That actually popped in my head too. Like even that, it's attention. I've never smoked.
Right.
I don't know how patches work. I can't imagine it says wear them on your forehead, you know what I mean? Like where people can see them.
It's like on her
wherever
shoulder.
you want.
It was like on her collarbone.
Yeah.
It's like, look how skinny my collarbone is.
So dainty.
Yeah. Ask me about how I'm quitting smoking.
Yes.
Yeah.
She took a marker and markered on her arm like an arrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. So Charlotte tells a story about a woman that ran out of orgasms, which completely scares Samantha.
I love that line. She's like, that's the meanest thing you've ever said to me. There's just, and that's also a great line too. I just like Kim Cattrall's killing it.
Oh, love her. She's my all-time fave. Okay, so Miranda, she is at the bra store. She's trying to get a bra. I have some mixed emotions on this. I understand where the writers are trying to go. I found this a little bit irksome too. like, who are you, lady?
Yeah.
Get out of my
Lucille.
stall. You know? Yes.
Yeah, Handsy Lucille.
Handsy Lucille.
Yeah.
So Lucille is played by Mary Pat Gleason. If she looks familiar, she's been in everything. Yeah. She was Miss Butters in Desperate Housewives. Oh. She was in an episode of Friends, the one with George Stephanopoulos. She was a French teacher in Saved by the Bell. Sorry.
Saved by the
My
Bell.
Southern twang. Saved by the Bell. I know.
I've definitely seen this woman.
Saved by the Southern Bell.
But I agree. It's like, especially walking up to Miranda like this, like it just seemed, it got there and it really was a nice moment. But like,
yes.
all the motivation behind that character is just like, you just got to be pushy. You just keep going. It's fine. I'm like, ugh, God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little cringy.
Yeah.
A little cringy, yeah.
I like the idea of it, of somebody having like a cathartic
Yes.
moment with a stranger in a department store, but like not when that stranger's like shoving their hand in your
Yes.
bra. Like it was, you know. Yeah. But I thought that the last note, when I thought, you know, really great acting from Cynthia Nixon when she says, "Well, this is perfect,"
Yes.
you know, and
Wipes
like,
tear,
you were right.
laughs,
Like she just
yeah.
has this great, yeah. There's phone acting. There's also like talking through tears. There's also like talking through the end of tears, you know, when you've like started almost composed yourself. Like she kind of nailed that moment.
She could have overdone it and she didn't. I felt like she did this one very well. I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree. All right, let's talk about this. Aiden surprises Carrie with a new computer. Speaking of dickhead, right?
How
Oh
dare
my
he?
God.
What?
This was
I know, right?
Yeah.
The worst. So let me tell you about this. I got my nerdy husband, Jay, on this one. So my husband had this computer. He's super into Apple. He had this one specifically. It's called an Apple iBook. It's a blue clamshell. It's vintage, and now it goes for about $1,000 on eBay.
Wow.
So there, yeah.
hey.
I remember
was
this
like-
period of Apple. I thought they were so futuristic and cool. And now it looks like a Fisher
Yeah.
Price toy. You know what I mean? It's like,
Totally.
it's like my first computer. It's nuts.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about this one, the iBook G3, Steve Jobs came back to the company and he introduced the iMac. And because of this, he single-handedly saved Apple from going bankrupt. It was trendy.
Wow.
People wanted it, and this helped.
Colors
So
are cool.
this one came, yeah, it came in light blue, which was called Blueberry, and it came in dark blue called Indigo. It was the first mainstream computer with Wi-Fi. And do you know what its nickname was, besides clamshell?
No. The Pearl.
Carrie.
The toilet seat.
Oh my God, it does look like a toilet seat. Yes, a Fisher Price
Wow.
toilet seat.
I was
Yeah.
shocked to hear that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The Carrie, is that what you said,
potty trained
Colin?
my kid. Yeah.
The Carrie. Because it's
The
Carrie
Carrie.
and Carrie. Look
Yeah.
at that.
That's
And
right.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's
yeah. Because
right.
it's all about Carrie. You know, she saved Apple.
That's
you
right.
know?
Exactly.
What
Oh, my
color
God.
Mac, if you guys had to choose, what color Mac would you get back in 2001?
Such a
And be
good
as specific as you
question.
want. Yeah, like, you know, if you want to do like seafoam green.
Oh.
You know what? I always liked the sort of turquoisey blue, the lighter
Okay.
blue. That seemed very like at that time, like, oh man, like cool. It'd be cool. It just seemed cool. You know, I mean, I was like 14 or 15 at the time, and that would be like, oh, be so cool.
That would be
It's
nice. What
cool.
about you, Jen?
That's awesome. I tend to go blue, so I would go
Another
if
blue.
there was like a navy or maybe that indigo, yeah, something like that. What about you, Nick?
I'd probably go green, but something tells me they didn't have like the green that I would want. I would want the color of Aiden's shirt green, like
Oh, nice.
mostly
Okay.
green with like a little bit of blue in there. So yeah, we're all on the same palette.
So we'll tell Aiden to take
Yeah.
off his shirt, so that way we can have him
Yes,
shirtless, and we'll wrap the computer in it.
perfect,
Perfect.
yes.
Win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. Solution.
So let's talk about this for a second. How did you feel like Carrie? I mean, let's cut to the chase. Carrie was a dick, right? I mean, he bought her a fancy computer.
Probably really expensive.
And a zip drive.
And a zip drive. It's like, I would be so excited, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm glad that I have this. I'm hoping the other one can still be brought back, because maybe we could transfer some stuff to the new one. You're amazing. That's the reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's perfect. Yes, exactly. But instead, she has to make it about herself and say, "No, this isn't me. This isn't what I want." Blah. You know, it's like he did something really nice.
Yeah, you know, if only he knew that what she wants is for you to repeatedly break her heart for 6 seasons and 2 movies
Yes.
and 1 episode. You know what I mean? Like you're doing it wrong, Aiden.
So she turns it from this into they're fighting. She's saying my whole life was on the computer. He starts to realize, oh, so it's all about you, which obviously it is. Hello, Carrie. And he's like, you don't want me to be a part of any of this, and ends up handing back his keys, which I thought was an interesting leap. I guess that just happened where they had exchanged keys and now he's giving them back. I don't know. But then again, it's Carrie, so I don't blame him.
I liked it. I think it was like, that dramatic gesture is always great for shows like this. But I do love the line. I think it's like borderline like, ugh, God. But John Corbett makes it work when he points to her heart and says, how do I get in there? And then he walks away.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a terrible. I could see that coming like 3 miles away. But also it's like... That's what we're given. But he makes it work. It's a little
he does.
schmaltzy. Colin loved it, I bet.
Could you imagine in real life?
Said that to,
Colin would have took that laptop and smashed it over his head.
Yeah, I would have just turned and leapt out the window with the laptop and be like, forget both of us. I would have grabbed the zip drive on the way out.
That's great. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is where I'm going to end this episode. We clearly have a lot more to say about the funeral of it all and about how each of the girls react to it and whatever behind-the-scenes information I could find along the way, just all that stuff. But again, a huge thank you to Nick and Colin from Best Supporting Podcast for being here, recording this episode, for your time, for your humor. I really, really enjoyed recording this, so I hope you're enjoying it. Definitely check out their podcast. They're great. They do a lot of cool topics. I really am enjoying listening my way through all of their podcasts. Again, thank you all for being here. I love doing this behind-the-scenes stuff whenever I can. Be sure to check out my Patreon if you're interested. We're doing the original Sex and the City series over there. And yeah, I just appreciate everybody that's signed up and everybody that's over there supporting. And every tier gets access to the original Sex and the City series I'm working my way through. So check that out if you're interested. Again, thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day and look for part 3.